fuel your success. SSM invites you to kickstart each weekday with our news update, Between the Lines, featuring the week's top news and analysis, and the most attention-grabbing lines, Deciphering World Event.
Yes, Deciphering World Event. You're welcome. My name is Mark Godwin Iweajunwa, and you are welcome to Between the Lines, 5th August 2024. A lot is happening, a lot, my people. And to give us those lines are my colleagues, friends, brothers. Faraway Lagos, Nigeria is our man, Ogbeni Olayinka Raji. Raji, you're welcome to Between the Lines this Monday.
Good evening, Mike, and good evening, viewers around the world. Welcome to Between the Lines on Monday.
Can you hear me? The world is boiling everywhere.
I can hear you. I think.
Yeah. I can hear you. So also on the other side is our diva Fiona Akanu. Fiona, London, UK. We know you have a lot to tell us from that end. How are you, Fiona?
Do I? Good evening, everybody. Welcome to all the viewers. Yes, I'm very well, thank you.
Yes, you're clear, loud, audible, and looking beautiful as usual.
Thank you.
Gentlemen or lady, it's I don't know how to put this, but most part of the world is boiling. Protests, violence, disruption, killing too. You know, and I mean it's crazy. Yinka Raji, let's start with Nigeria. We are seeing that there's still nationwide protests upon Tinubu's broadcast yesterday. There are still reactions from Kano, Kaduna, and Lagos. Raji, what do you have there? Tell us.
Well, I won't call it nationwide exactly, but yes, there are still a few places where we are getting reports of protests. Sufficiently, Lagos sector is, I think, almost shut down. It's the riot and destructions that's coming from Kaduna and Kano that is becoming quite troublesome. Currently, there's a 24-hour curfew in both Kaduna and Kano, and I think in Niger State too. It's always strange to have a 24-hour curfew, but I think that's what it's on now.
It's always strange to have a 24-hour curfew, but this one is
strange.
Yes, this one is boiling real strong. We are seeing things too, apart from what you've just said. We're seeing some very strange things. Protesters holding on to Russian flag, young boys and girls chanting songs in Hausa language and running through the streets with Russian flags. And we're also seeing hoodlums still plundering, taking people's goods, people's property. Fiona, are you following what's happening in Nigeria? Are you seeing those things too?
Yes.
Before we go on, I'm sorry, Fiona. Let's bring in Femi. Femi, okay, is here. It's so nice to have Femi on Monday. Femi, you're welcome.
Hello. How are you? Lovely to be here.
Good. So, yes, Fiona, are you seeing those things? Maybe before you say, let's see some clips of what's happening, real-time events unfolding. Let's see some of those clips. So this is Ojota in Lagos, southwest Nigeria, and Ojota had a small protest this morning. Ojota, what we noticed was people gathered midday. It was midday actually, not in the morning like the first day of the protest. Midday, there was that gathering, and there were security officers around with them too, to ensure they don't go out of control. So these are some of the clips we've had from Lagos, and there are those clips from the north. People holding on to the flag of the Russian flag. I mean, that was real strange. So, but Fiona, tell us what's going on from your end.
I mean, the protests have been expected for a while. The government was kind of, notified that this was going to happen. So, I mean, the protests are what the protests are. As you can see from the clip that you've just shown from Ojota, we can see that you can't really call that a protest. That just seems like a gathering of people who aren't really doing that. That's not a protest. That's just a few people. Not when we think about the volume of people we have in Lagos. So, what I'm deducing from that is, if we think about where we started and where we are now, it seems that in whichever way it has happened, it seems that the appetite for destruction, shall I call, or the appetite to protest seems to have been quelled in some kind of way from the clip that we've just seen there. I mean, the situation in the north seems slightly more concerning. Obviously, we've had people who they've had their businesses destroyed, looted, they've had personal effects taken away. And this is one of the problems anytime there's any kind of civil disobedience, because, or shall I say unrest, because there will be an element of society that will, get involved and create a situation that becomes, borderline anarchy. So, and we've seen scenes of things like that. We've seen warehouses of food looted. We've seen, libraries looted, things that, and at the end of the day, these things are serving the public. So I don't really know what end, but this is the case in any protest, what end destroying government property really has at the end of the day. It just, everybody just suffers at the end of the day. So that's kind of my take on what's happening at the moment.
Thank you very much, Lady Fiona. Yes, while you were talking, more of our coordinators were joining in. In faraway Toronto, Canada is our man, Sir George Chukwu. You're welcome. Sir George, can you hear me?
Well, thank you so very much. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay,
yes,
beautiful. Yeah. All right. So I just want to extend my greetings to Fiona, to Femi Oke, brother from
Motola.
What's the name again? Yeah. So I just want to greet viewers from around the world. Sorry for coming late and interrupting the show.
It's okay. Yes, and Omotola is here also. Omotola Oluwadari.
Okay, yes.
Qatar. Omotola, how are you? It's good to see you.
Thank you very much for having me. Good evening, Ms. Fiona, Mr. Femi, Sir George, Mr. Mark. Good evening. Thank you so much for having me.
You're all welcome. And it's showing that yes, there's turmoil. There's real rough atmosphere out there. Femi, you've been doing a lot. Yes, you've been keeping people abreast with situations. You've been saying your thing. You've been giving your viewpoint. Tell us what's happening. Tinubu gave the speech. We thought probably today will be calm. People will go back to work, but we're seeing some reactions in some places.
Yeah, you can see that really this so-called national rage protest is petering out. So it's still happening. People feel they need they have the right to protest, and they feel they need to continue to protest. I think they've made their point. How long they're going to go for, it's really up to them. But really, it's losing steam, and then it will get to a point where people will just start to think that they're just being a nuisance. That's what's going to happen. And what's happening in the north, it's getting more ridiculous. People going around with Russian flags and all this kind of silliness, and still going on with violence. So, at the end of the day, if they continue with violence, they will lose the support of the masses, the people, and then it will just become a mockery of this whole thing. So, if you want to protest peacefully, no one will object to that. But once violence comes into it, the whole protest comes into disrepute. And anyone found to continue to support it would also be seen as an inciter and a supporter of violent protest.
Yes, indeed, Femi. But Femi, nothing should be taken for granted. Nothing should be played down. These guys are raising up another country's flag in our own territory, Russian flag in our territory.
Yeah, if you want me to just answer that particular point, that particular point, you remember that the north is close to Niger Republic. And so what they're symbolizing there is that the Russians that came to support Niger when they had their coup, and they're saying, well, you know, maybe we need the Russians to come and support us here. But that the Russians have denied any involvement and any external interference whatsoever. You'll see that Nigerians will unite completely against that kind of a protest. So that was a ridiculous situation. It's dead in the water.
Dead in the waters. Okay, George. Before we come to Motala, George, what are you seeing, monitoring from your end? What's happening? Everywhere there's still rage, George. There's still rage. Kaduna is still on fire. Hoodlums are still looting things in Kaduna, in Kano, and raising up Russian flag.
Yeah, like what Femi said. You know, the proximity between the North and Niger Republic and the influence, you know, over there is, you know, that's what we're seeing. But in general, we are crying out over Tinubu needs to respond. Tinubu needs to respond. Now, Tinubu is responded. But the question is, did he actually address the case that are plaguing the people? That's one question that needs to be asked. Number two, are the people planning this protest and all the people that are involved, are they content with the state of affairs, with what they have heard? Because that's another thing. But also, the tone of the message, was it reconciliatory? Was it with compassion? Was it addressing the main issues that the country is facing? I can say yes. I really can say, because all they needed was the leader to come out and show that he is caring and he is, you know, sharing the pain the people that are going through. To a greater degree, a lot of things that are plaguing our nation was not mentioned, you know. So, but yet, I think his presence meant a lot. His presence meant a whole lot. When he came out, he addressed the issues the way that it was, you know, put down for him. And I believe that it's supposed to appease quite a few number of people regarding the caring, compassionate leader that we have who feels your pain. But I believe that he was a little too late. He should have come out a little earlier. They had 1 solid month to prepare for this whole entire protest. And yet what we saw was a delayed reaction, which is not very good. If the man had come out before and started, you know, appeasing the nation and calming people down and doing this thing that he did, maybe in many stages or mini stages, you would have seen that a lot of people understand his heart and understand how much he cares. Because right now, it's almost like medicine after death. After many people have died, many places destroyed. So he should have come out a little earlier and preemptively prepare himself for knowing that for this length of time, those times that they wasted bringing out anti-protest protesters to come against and demonizing the whole entire thing is actually part of the result that you're seeing now. So they should have been a little more positive in their reaction, you know, and proactive in their reaction than what we saw. But I'm glad that he spoke. As a matter of fact, the speech that I made, it seems like he copied it from it. If you put everything down there, yes, the speech I made was actually what Tinubu said, and if you can see the similarities in a lot of that speech that I made. Maybe
George for president.
Maybe Femi okay copied and sent to them, and they, you know, took part of it, you know. So, but I believe we have come to that point right now where we ought to all start looking in the same direction together. Like what who just said that, you know, Femi, okay, diversity is our strength. We've not recognized that yet. We need to come to the point where we will see the beauty of how God designed and put us all together in each different place where we are, contributing to the success and the prosperity of this nation. Nigeria is the most beautiful country. We are blessed with a different DNA. in our blood, in our system. Everywhere we go, that's how we are. So right now, I think there ought to be peace. These people, like what the president was saying, was put your sword down, put your protest down. Come, let's dialogue, let's discuss. And that is what I think will help our nation, not this bigotry and fighting and nonsense that is, all these illiterates and self-centered and self-profiting people that are trying to, bring the nation into a chaos. We don't want that. We condemn the deaths and we condemn the violence in the north. They need to know how to protest instead of rioting. That's not what this is all about. Thank you.
Thank you, George. George is still in that light of the speech, protest speech. Thank you. George, Simi, but there's something that should be noted. These protesters arranged a 10-day protest. So no matter what intervention anybody is giving, they've mapped out 10 days. 10 days, Simi. You think the president's speech might halt these protests?
For me, I just feel like, honestly, I felt comforted when the president had to come out to speak, and address the situation. But like just like Mr. George said, I felt disappointed to the fact that he had to wait that long to come out. I mean, it's a domestic situation, and what we wanted was just for him to come outside and address the children, that they speak to us, and that's it, we'll be fine. But like, he stayed back, waiting. Did he think we were threatening him or something? Like, why wait so long to come out? And then now the northerners, from Kano, like those with the illicit intention, they had the opportunity to like leverage on the situation, trying to raise Russian flag and all of this could have been avoided. We could have. So whatever is happening now is all due to his lateness to coming to address we Nigerians. So it is what it is.
It is what it is. Femi, I'll come back to Femi because Femi has more on this. Femi, to be honest with you, George said something else, but I don't agree. The president's speech didn't address the protesters' list. He didn't address it. He was more of protecting. Yes, you can't be a president and this kind of chaos arises and you're just there. He only tried to, just calm that down, but he didn't address. We want those pinpointed addressing the issues.
Okay.
Femi.
So do you want my view? So one, I don't think that the president spoke a moment too late or a moment too soon. Even in the UK, PM Starmer took a couple of days before he came to make his speech. So it was actually kind of funny that what was happening in Nigeria was happening in pari passu with what was happening in the UK. So they were happening at the same time. The same day when Tinubu did his speech, Keir Starmer done his speech. So, and the havoc had already been done, and I don't think the havoc would have been averted. The people were hell bent on doing their thing, and that's it. The other thing is, when you have faceless people making spurious demands, you as the president, how do you which demand is it? You could have 100, 1,000 demands. So no matter what you want, he would have been said to have not addressed their demands, because they weren't like a specific list of demands that you could say, okay, he's addressing in this. But by and large, the general demands were to do with the hunger, the poverty, the subsidy removal, the Naira, and so on. But what gladdened me was the fact that he did address those things. What George should have said, and the other chap there should have said, it's not that he didn't address them, but he didn't address them to their satisfaction. But for me, he addressed them to my satisfaction, in the sense that I didn't want to see a situation where he will kowtow and recant and say, okay, we're going back, we're going to do a U-turn on the subsidies, or we're going to do a U-turn on the Naira, which is not going to happen. I think he needed to stay the course, and that's what he did. He addressed them, he acknowledged them, but of course he's going to stay the course. In 2012, when Goodluck Ebele Johnson was faced with a similar situation, he kowtowed. and he brought back the subsidies. And that is part of the problem that we're facing today. He should never have kowtowed, and he should have stayed the course. And I think it takes a strong leader to, in the face of the overwhelming protest and, you know, the mass suffering of the mass, to continue with what he's doing. And he's given them examples of the things that he's doing that in the long run will alleviate the problems. And finally, what I wanted to say, there's this notion that government is not caring and had no plan and they didn't know what they were doing. That is a lie from the pit of hell. If you look at the trajectory from the passing of the PIA, the Petroleum Industry Act in 2021, mind you, 2021, almost 3 years ago, there was a stepped plan of what was going to happen. What was going to happen was that Dangote's petroleum refinery was to come on stream. The other refineries, the NNPC refineries, were to come on stream. Okay, so that by the time you were looking at the end of the inauguration, those things should have been put in place. But unfortunately, and this is the thing with Nigeria, putting good plans in place, but unfortunately, execution is always our problem. The Dangote is not producing. Why is that? Port Harcourt refinery is not producing. Why is that? So some can say there's a conspiracy to mess this whole thing up, to keep us imprisoned and shackled to Western supply of refined products. But I believe that within the next month or two, or before the end of the year, I believe we will be producing PMS in Nigeria. And once we start producing PMS in Nigeria, a lot of the pains that people are feeling will be reduced. And of course, CNG will reduce demand for petroleum products. So someone was saying, why are they talking about CNG? They don't really understand it's going to improve our environment and it's going to reduce demand on PMS, which will also help the price of PMS. So these are the things that are happening right now. So I'm looking positively to the future. I'm not looking negatively. And that's what I want to say on that one.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead, George. You want to respond to?
So yeah. I fully understand, and I know that looking at the situation the way it's panning out right now, there are so much expectation from the president. But what I can tell you is that the president is not a miracle worker. There are some things that need process to go to. There are some things, even as we speak right now, he can only make promises because he cannot do any miracle for things to just turn around the way they're supposed to be. You see, sometimes when we're dealing with the current government, I know there's still APC, but you will fail to understand how despicable and deplorable the former government was in dealing with our welfare, with our economy, padding a lot of things, just show and no action behind it. We saw that. We saw during the election all the decisions that were being speedily made in order to prevent this man from being taking whatever, like he said, his own turn. We saw that the people were not from the pawns. The recoloring of the naira. If we go today and find out how much was spent on recoloring of that naira in order to prevent what they alleged to have been the problem, with regards to sharing money and all that kind of stuff, people were the victims in every single step. All the refineries that are not open, people are still the victims. So when Kifemi was talking about all of this, one thing we fail to understand is if you now go back to history and begin to see the trail of where we are, our country was mortgaged for 8 years. Some of the money that was borrowed in the past administration, we don't even know how much and how deep we are. And we expect this man to just come and overnight and do a miracle. I am so sorry. It doesn't work that way. And I still stand my ground that Tinubu should have not announced when he announced. He should have stepped into the door. A wise man will sit and understand the environment, understand the questions, and understand everything before make accommodation for if this happens. What about this?
Okay.
You should have learned from Jonathan when he got the way. What caused him to do so? So what we want to do right now is to make sure that we agree with this man and follow up and bring peace in the land and allow him time. Allow him time, because there are so many things that are being done that I'm seeing, although it's not affecting the the common man out there. But let's give him time to work on the things he's working right now, and where correction needs to be made, let him be attentive and make the corrections. Because what we know, when it's good for him, it's good for us and good for Nigeria.
Thank you, George. You've said so much important focal points today. One man that is not saying anything is Raji, and wow, there he goes.
Raji gone again.
Raji has a lot to say too. But Fiona, I'll come to you on this for the last time. The truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, Nigerians are suffering. I mean, you could see it on their faces out there in the protests. Fiona, as a mother, I mean, you know a healthy person when you see them. A lot of Nigerians are really under that very horrible, hunger, out of our appearance. Fiona, what do you say? I mean, all of this story we say has no effect if a man has no food to eat.
I think that it is right to feel that there's definitely been I don't know whether there was a high expectation with the new government, or whether I don't know what it is, but definitely whatever the expectation was and what people have now is probably not what they were hoping for. That there's hunger in the land, or that there's no money, etc., etc. I don't think that any of that is up for. I don't think that is disputable. I think it's facts. I mean, when we have a country that gives out palliatives and gives out food when it's not like there's a war or anything, that tells you that it's not a perceived thing, it's an actual fact. So I don't think any of those things are disputable. Anything that can deliver on some kind of food security, and it's about the money, it's about being able to afford to buy things at the cold face, at the actual point of need. I think that's the key thing, because once it's a common saying, once you're a hungry man is an angry man, and I think that a lot of this is being fueled by anger. We had the man that collapsed the other day because he thought that at the protest there was going to be food, which tells you that this is probably someone that hasn't eaten. I mean, you don't just collapse after not eating for a few minutes, So I mean, the hunger thing, I think it's genuine. I don't think anybody's pretending that there is no. I think it's a genuine thing, So I mean, but things to address things like that are not things that happen overnight, unfortunately. I think Sir George has also alluded to that fact that to make proper, consistent, permanent change is not something that you could just wake up and say, oh, we're going to do this, so therefore everybody's going to have food. So I think it's getting the macro and the micro factors in check and in hand, and titrating them so that there can be an improvement in the situation across the board. But it will take time. It's not going to happen overnight, regardless of what anybody comes out and says. It won't happen overnight.
The micro and the macro strategies are not yet in check. Companies are leaving our country. Big farmers, big conglomerates, big tech. Raji, let's hear you. What's happening? The protests and your views.
Okay. As for the protest, I think it was ensured to happen so that it will cause a distraction for the people. While we are protesting, I understand that a loan of about $500 million has been taken. The Ways and Means, whatever, has gone up by more than 12 trillion naira. Now, for food security, currently across the whole of the Middle Belt, I spoke to somebody in Kaduna this afternoon. What is happening across the whole of the Middle Belt, which is the food basket of the country? People are not able, who have been displaced from their homes into IDP camps. Some of them have returned to home, but they can't go to farm because of this insecurity in that area. If you go to the farm, you may be kidnapped, and since the government seems to be paying ransom so easily, it has become an industry that is not going to go unless the government takes with a serious hand. So food security is a serious issue, and it is not a matter of that we should all start planting in our backyard. I have plants in my backyard, but there's a duration from planting to reaping. There's a duration from buying a fowl and then.
I think we lost Raji again. Femi, you
Yeah.
heard what he's saying. Yes, before we go on the break, Femi, give us one last take.
Look, as I want to agree with a lot of what people are saying. It's not something. The solutions are not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a while. And you see, when you look at the problem of Nigeria, it's complex and it's not as simple as just Tinubu failure, APC failure. Food, in fact, just looking at food, for example, it's just not a simple matter of just grow the food. If the majority of your farmers in Nigeria using hoe and cutlass in 2024, and your population is 230 and growing to 250, how are you going to feed yourself? This is impossible. That's the key problem there. Whose responsibility is it to feed us? Is it the federal government? Is it the state government? Is it the local governments? Is it the communities, for example? You understand? Because at the end of the day, it's a private sector scenario. So if you yourself are not trying to feed yourselves, you understand? And then you have situations where people in the north are killing themselves. You understand? Fulani herdsmen are eating up the crops of their own people. Bandits are kidnapping their own people, then, it's self-inflicted madness. And then you in the south are sitting down there watching them in the north, and you're not getting food, and you have not said to yourself, all right, you guys in the south, let's start feeding ourselves. And then you want to blame everything on the one man who's the federal president. This is insane. It's completely not. You can go on the road and start crying,
Nobody is
I'm
blaming
hungry.
the federal government for everything.
Raji, please. You can say you're hungry, but it's self-inflicted as far as I'm concerned. And that's why people tend to have a kind of negative tonation towards me, because I just tell it as it is. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't try to mollycoddle it and make them feel good about themselves. You are failing. You, the people, are the ones failing, and government as well. But take your responsibilities. Local government, state government, and communities and farms and villages. Take responsibility. Families, take responsibility.
Okay,
Yes.
now, I heard both of them. I did. But what I have to say in this whole entire thing is this. You see, it's the little foxes is what usually destroy the vine. When we were looking in the middle belt for the past few years and saw the strategy of removing and replacing these people, or if I don't know if I will call it gentrification or whatever they were doing, but removing for whatsoever the reason might be from the people from the upper north, removing these people from the middle belt, we saw what was going on. It was creating insecurity in that area. These people, as much as they don't have mechanized agriculture, they were producing enough to feed the nation and even some of the neighboring countries with their own, old ways of doing their farming. But they had enough people doing it that the nation was not crying out. But we saw progressively how they kept on moving these people, putting them in ID camps, and then replacing them with folks that are coming in. These are the things that are causing problem for everybody. Yes, when your little toe is hurting, the whole entire body can become painful because of that. And that is one of the major problems. We never solved the problem of insecurity in those areas. So we need to really get down, and even if we have to deploy the military in that middle belt, let's deploy them. Let's protect that area. Because if that is our food basket where food is coming from, it is our responsibility and the government to call sir and say, this is what we got to do. Now, and anybody that is caught kidnapping or doing those things, I think they need to reinstitute firing squad in Nigeria to bring the fear of God upon people. Because this nonsense is too much in Nigeria. And we need to come to that place where we mean business.
Thank you, George. We really went on with this for some time. There are other news also flying around, gentlemen, but let's come back. Let's come to that few minutes. Thank you for joining, viewers. SSM Monday Between the Lines.
Hello?
Before we, yes, you're there. You're all there. I didn't want us to take the long break because there's more to say. There's something going on, people. It is that most part of the world are in real turmoil. Let's come now to another side. Fiona, where you are, you and Femi, UK has been burning. UK has been burning. It's not only Nigeria. Let's start with Fiona. What's happening in Liverpool? Yes, what's happening?
So the genesis, the unfortunate genesis of this is that sometime early last week, 3 young children were murdered at a holiday camp. And then the information started to go around on social media that it was someone of Islamic faith, it was somebody of African descent, it became, and then there was a protest. So we have quite a few groups that are pro English groups, and they took a protest to Liverpool, and that's what has degenerated into what we see now. So the first thing is that our condolences go out to these 3 young children. As I used to be a childcare provider in the Southeast. At a time, I was providing care for about 1,000 children every week, and the idea that somebody will walk into a premises and kill 3 children is something that my brain really struggles to understand. So our condolences go to the family, and our thoughts are with the people that are still in hospital or have had kind of trauma, life-altering injuries from this experience. So fast forward from that, so there have been protests by the EDL, etc. They've gone out there to protest, and as we know, as with any protest anywhere, it will quickly become hijacked by people who have a slightly more negative agenda than the original intent. So we've had pockets of violence in different parts of the United Kingdom, not just in Liverpool. We've had issues in Sunderland, issues in about 6 or 7. So there've been, there's been destruction, there's been looting. So yeah, so it's not, we haven't had that experience in the Southeast yet. It's still going on. So we're just watching the situation, but of course it's very, very sad. And we're just watching the situation, to be honest.
Nice, good one, Femi. Added to what she's saying, this afternoon there's an emergency Cobra meeting. They called it Cobra meeting. Tell us what's the Cobra going to come? What is it coming to do?
So the Cobra meeting is a special meeting of ministers and important departments that look at when there's an emergency situation. They come in and look at solutions. So people were thinking that maybe they were going to bring in the military because the police have been failing. They've not been able to quell the protest, but they ruled that out. So they're not going to bring in the military. But they haven't ruled out tear gas and water cannon. And so you see, there's a lot going on. The thing is, this thing is not just about the unfortunate murder of those 3 girls. There were even, I think there were about 6 or 7 other children that were critically injured, and even 2 adults as well. So this was a mad rage that, I don't know, and the guy that's done it was 17 years old. Before that, there was an incident that happened, I think it was in Manchester, where in the airport a police officer was being beaten up by, I think the guy was a person of Asian origin, and then really beaten up violently, and then one policeman kicked him in the head, and that went all viral, and they were saying how the police were brutal and they were how he was kicked in the head. But the majority, the white people, were saying that, but you didn't focus on the white police officer who was being beaten up by this guy. You just focused on him being kicked in the head. So then, since the election, remember there was an election that happened just now, and in the election,
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Reform Party, who are the far right and who are the main people who are doing these kind of things, they had a lot of support. They came third, with a lot of support in terms of numbers, but in terms of electoral seat, because we have a parliamentary system, first past the post, they only got 4 electoral seats in parliament. So they feel let down by the democracy and the system, saying that their voice hasn't really been heard. And Nigel Farage, their leader, is making noise. So they look at any kind of opportunity to grab on, to manipulate, to create havoc. And this was the perfect opportunity for them. It's all about the immigrants. They've done it again. They've killed it. First of all, they were saying it was a Muslim guy, and this and that and whatever, which is all fake news, you know, and they were saying he was an Arab or whatever, immigrant. And there was also fake news. The guy was born in Cardiff and his parents are from Rwanda, but he's a Christian. So they used it to galvanize those people. And they said they were having protests. This is the thing. Just like in Nigeria, they went out and got permission to do a protest, yeah, so-called protest. But actually, all along, it was their intention for it to be violent. So the idea that people doing peaceful protests always intended it to be protest, and it was hijacked. The same people who were hijacked are the same people that organized it. They knew what they were doing. It was pre-planned. You can see, if you go and look at all the different venues, it was pre-planned. They knew what they were doing. And this protest has been going on for days. And we're in turmoil in the UK. And lo and behold, then bring that stuff to London, because they bring that to London. You know, we can have civil war. I think you've seen videos of individuals, black people, being attacked by mobs of white people. You know, if this goes haywire, you know, UK could be in real trouble. And finally, you notice that when we had our problems in Nigeria, the British government issued a travel warning.
Yes.
And now you see that the Malaysian government, the United Arab authorities, and the Nigerian government have issued, you know, travel warning notices to Nigerians. And people, be careful. You want to jackpot to London. See what they do for there. Be careful. You can be a target. So I'm warning you guys. Everything isn't so rosy here. You can be a target because they will put you in a place where you go be the only black man there.
That black man there. Yeah. So viewers, what you're seeing is extract from that memo. The memo has a warning to Nigerians coming to the UK to be careful because it's really, really, really dangerous out there now. So yeah, this is but apart from the funny side of it, Femi, it's logical that we do this. I mean, you don't want.
It's a serious matter. It's a serious matter.
Yes. Yes, thank you very much, Femi. Thank you, Fiona. Viewers, you're hearing it live from.
Can I make a comment on this one too?
Okay, good. Go ahead, George. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a. But I want you to pay attention to, you know, what the meeting of these people, you know, the Cobra. Cobra actually means Cabinet Office Briefing Room A. You know, that's basically what it is, where all the military, the police, they will all come together to deliberate on the best way to handle the situation. But here you are seeing that they have refused. Remember, the police usually don't carry gun in UK, right?
That's true.
The military carries gun. But in spite of all that is going on, they refuse to bring the military into the scene. They have a special task force that will deal with it. And that task force will actually include people of first responders, those that, you know, mediators and all that kind of stuff. It's not just bringing military people out who are trained to kill. So I want you to pay attention to the way they deliberated on this and decided on making a quality decision for the sake of the people, because they care about their people. So I want us to pay attention to that. Secondly,
yes, I was going to say that. Yeah, I think the English people have a very good way of facing off with protesters, but you don't have that in all of Europe. France, for example, will by now would have killed like 2-3 people. You know, France don't give a heck.
I know, but the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because, you know, what we do most of the time, we condemn our own.
Okay.
But I'm glad that it is happening also in UK, to show that this is not just something, because sometimes what we do, whatever we do in Nigeria, we think because we are not so enlightened or so civilized like the other worlds, therefore it's happening this way. It is happening in UK. They're protesting, and they have their own reason for protesting. So I think we need to learn, both the government and the people ought to learn from what is happening in these areas and know how to be able to disagree to agree, or actually put ourselves together Because let me tell you something. There are so many things that are happening in our country now. This ethnic bigotry that is fueling so badly is one of the things that will slow down the progress.
The president mentioned that, which was good.
Yeah, he did. He did. And someone, the governor of Lagos State, mentioned it also. But this is something that all reasonable, educated, enlightened people need to rise up and speak against it and condemn it to the highest. Because that is the beginning of the end if this ever takes place again. I can guarantee you Nigeria will not survive it. And we need to really go to the root cause, and anybody that comes out and talk nonsense, let them find out that person and prosecute them to the very highest level. Because this must be zero tolerance for such nonsense in our country.
Thank you very much, George.
George,
Okay.
sorry, George, you're right, yeah. And the problem is this is a world phenomenon. It's not just about, like you said, London or whatever. It's happening. You're in America there. You saw Black Lives Matters. You saw what's happening with the people, President Trump saying that there were good people on all sides, when you got those people saying, white power and all this kind of stuff. So it's a big phenomenon. He wants to make America great again, take them back to slavery. There's a lot of nonsense going on, happening around the world. And bigotry is the biggest issue. It could be ethnic bigotry, it could be religious bigotry or tribal bigotry. These things need to be stamped out. And the reason why they haven't brought the military and all that kind of stuff is not because they don't want to, it's because the violence hasn't reached the stage for the military. They considered it, but they said it hasn't reached that stage. I can assure you, if it were to reach the stage that they need to bring the military, they will bring the military. In America, they will bring in the National Guard when they need to bring in the National Guard. No prime minister will, because of I want to look good, not do the needful. And that's the same in Nigeria and everywhere else. The military haven't been brought in anywhere right now, and they are the last resort. And thank God they haven't. And we want to pray that we continue to have peaceful protests.
Wow. Thank you, gentlemen. Now let's go Far East, guys. It's boiling everywhere, and thank God Omotala is here for us. Omotala, what's happening in Bangladesh? Bangladesh is 22. Listen,
Bangladesh is banging. Bangladesh is banging.
Now, viewers, the Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina resigned. Hasina, thank you. She resigned. I'm trying to bring the clip out here. She resigned and also left the country, in the midst of the violence, in the midst of what was happening, took a flight backstage and ran out. That's a video of her leaving. If you can see that, they took her back from the back end and just had to take her out. Now, thousands of Bangladesh protesters have been protesting, and it's even worse there. They are destroying things, they are looting. They stormed the palace of the prime minister and asked her if they told her to quit. That was when she had to do that. So she resigned and she left. Now, a lot of people have died, and we're seeing one of the worst cases of protests in South Asia country, Bangladesh. So, viewers, let's hear from Omotala. Omotala, you're close to Bangladesh. What's happening there? What are you monitoring?
Well, I'm not exactly, close to these people.
No, I know, but I mean, yeah, we know.
But right. I mean, it's just interesting to see all countries, coming out to really demand what they want, and what they deserve is what they think is deserving to them. So whatever is going on in Bangladesh right now, I think it's just high time they lend out their voices. And now that it's been spoken out, I mean, I'm loving the scene, and
loving the scene.
Yeah, I mean, let's see how this plays out at the end. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just for the betterment of the country. If we look at it.
Who wants to chip in? Because I'm happy to chip in. I'm not
chip in, my man.
So what is the for me?
Sorry, Raji has been going back.
Oh, sorry, Raji. Yeah, let Raji speak.
Raji, can you hear us? Are you stable now?
Yes.
Tell us what's happening in Bangladesh.
I think so. Okay. I think it's something to do with my band by network, and I'm suspecting Femi Please, I'm suspecting him. Now, talking seriously.
You know, see, what we Yorubas, we like attacking each other. We Yorubas.
No, but talking seriously, I just want to chip in about military coming into the riots in Britain. It is very, very unlikely that the military will be called in. What may be called in will be something like the National Guard in the US, which is a paramilitary system. It is not a military, because there's a clear distinction between the duties of the military and the police. The military are trained to protect the enemy, to protect the country against the enemies of the state. And therefore, whenever you call them into the state becomes their enemy. So there's not likely that the military will come into the British space. Now, going back to Bangladesh, it's very difficult for me to understand the mentality of most people who are in government when they see that, look, your government is being very, very unpopular. You are doing things that are unpopular and people are complaining, and you are still insisting on it until you are disgraced. It is not even fair to themselves. You see, it's not even fair to themselves to be so stubborn and not to see the writing on the wall. Now see her running away from the palace with his sari flung and his one shoe and all the other. It is not dignifying. You know?
Yeah. Can I add?
She gotta protect her life anyway.
But can I just say, look, what we have to look at in all these things is the common denominator. And what is the common denominator? For me, is regime change. So you start off with protests, which you ostensibly be about the masses and a particular issue. In Bangladesh's case, it was about quota system that they felt was unfair, and it didn't help the youth. Okay. And then from there, it metamorphosed into violence and then into Hasina must go. You understand? Let's go track back. If you go back to Kenya, it was about taxes. They imposed taxes must go. And next minute, Ruto must go. You understand? Come to Nigeria, end SARS. We want to end SARS. Next became Buhari must go. And the danger is that now we have end bad governance. If they continue, they want Tinubu must go, isn't it? That's the way it goes. They're just logical. And so we need to guard against regime change in this kind of manner because it's unconstitutional and it's undemocratic. In the case of Bangladesh, she's been there for how many years? Some ridiculous number of years.
15
years. So to me, that's understandable, you know, that's understandable. You're in a government in Nigeria, which is not just about a year in place, democratically elected, whether you like it or not. This kind of thing will not be countenanced. The backlash will not allow that to happen. In Bangladesh, she's been there steadfast for so long, her position become untenable. And like Raji said, I want to agree with him. When you've been in there for so long, you believe you can do and undo. So therefore, she was oblivious to what was happening on the streets. So therefore, she got taken out. I'm glad that the military that have taken over, instead of making it into a military government like what they did in Niger Republic, which Nigerians were celebrating, in Bangladesh, they've put in an interim civilian government. You understand? Which is what they should do. Because I was saying that the deputy should have been in place, or the speaker, or whatever it is, follow the constitution. But they've followed the interim and they're going to have elections. Let's hope that it's going to be free and fair and that they can have peaceful transition. Because if not, you could have another load of chaos happening in Bangladesh, and we don't want that. They've already lost over 400 people to this chaos. But maybe people will say that the lives of 400 people is okay for Hasina to go. But that 400 people to one person to go, that's a big number of people to die.
Now, Fiona, the update that just came in is she's present in India and she's flying to the UK. Now, why is UK always an accomplice to all of this political crime?
Absolutely.
Everybody comes to the UK. I mean, she should be brought back home to face whatever it is, whatever charges she has to. Fiona, what do you think? She's coming to your place now. She's probably coming to your house.
Yeah, I don't have space. You know, you know, UK is always a safe haven for every and anything, to be quite honest. That's the only thing. I can't really speak on policy about what the policy is about that, but there'll be some kind of agreement or something like that. I don't know why we're always hooked up in the center, in the middle, at the right and left of all crazy things that go on like that. I don't know why.
Former colonies.
Former colonies. She's got ties. She's got ties in England as well.
Okay,
Former colonies.
But former colonies, and they keep
former colonies,
getting involved with all of this. If it's some financial crime, it's UK. If it's some financial crime, it's Switzerland. It's UK. I mean, it's time.
Well, listen. UK is what we call a refuge. UK is what you call a refuge country.
Yeah.
A refuge country is a country
and that's why they're protesting. That's why they're protesting.
Yes.
They don't want it to be a refuge country anymore.
Yes, it's a refuge country where, you know, I mean, at the onset, behind the scenes and under the table, there is so much wealth, you know, being shared with the countries. So, you know, and so that's the reason why if you have billions and want to run away, please bring it over to UK, because it makes the economy to flow. So
Anyway,
the other thing is, it's not just the UK. You look at Finland. You've got Friday Ekpa doing what he's doing from Finland. You understand? Sunday Igboho, when he left Nigeria, he's in Germany, isn't it? So there's always a refuge for Nigerians in all many. Nnamdi Kanu, he came to England. He was directing things from London. So these things, I just want to, I wrote a piece about the Americans coming out and the imperialists taking control of Africa. We need to be careful of them. Those guys are dangerous. They're only concerned about their own interest, and they're not concerned about the interest of the countries like Bangladesh or Nigeria or whatever. You know, in all circumstances, like someone said, she should be deported back, extradited back to Bangladesh to face trial. I can guarantee you the British will not allow that.
No way.
They will rather sit on her money here and enjoy her money.
Thank you very much. Yes, we're tuned into our Wednesday Between the Lines.
Sorry, can I put in a word, please?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
London, the city of London is the financial capital of the world.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we missed him again.
Oh,
Okay,
Raji, that's just saying a good point there.
Yeah,
that's
point there. Let's just run through some news making waves this evening as we go on. Vice President Kamala Harris will be expected to announce her running mate tonight. George, stay on guard for us. Let's know who that person is. So
that's right.
Yeah, we're hearing that. Also, you guys remember the Olympic is still on. And
yeah,
the Olympic is still on. A lot of people are pulling up some real good performance there. The young lady called Simona Biles. Right.
I was going to say that our Nigerian 200 meters runner, I can't remember her name, but she's through to the final. And the D Tigers, the girls, the women basketball players, they're through to the quarterfinal. They beat Australia and they beat Canada.
Okay.
Oh,
Simi,
wow.
are you following the Olympics? China is topping the medal table, and with about 21 gold and in total 54. America following, France third, Australia fourth, South Korea, and the list goes on and on. So the Olympics is going on, fellas. Watch and stay abreast with what's going on there. Also, in the fast news, we're still looking at Venezuela. Venezuela is still not looking good. So much happening there. On Friday, we'll probably be giving the updates on that. Simi, what do you have to say? What's happening in Qatar? Simi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. What's the update from your end for Middle East? Apart from Bangladesh, what other place is brewing?
We in Qatar for now. For the Windows issue we had in the past, like the Microsoft issue we've been facing, part of it has, I think it's actually has reduced now. So
Okay.
we kind of like find a solution to the whole thing from our own end, and some other applications are being put to place to replace the use of Microsoft. Yeah, so
nice.
good
Update, Mr. Simi. Good update. Yes, thank you. George, we know, like we said, the announcement will be coming, so we'll probably do that on Wednesday. But what do you have to tell us, George? What's happening in
Well, we just enjoyed one of the biggest festivities here in Canada, which is Caribana. You know, it's relating to Caribbean countries coming together to do a big show, and many countries will come out with their own outfits and different regalias and everything, and go out there and then showcase on boats, crossing. So we just enjoyed it. There are so many people came from the different parts of the world, and especially US. That's where we get most of our, and it's really a weekend to visit Canada during the Caribana weekend. We have millions of people coming over. So we just finished it. We had 2 concerts here also. Keith Daniel was in town. We enjoyed him this weekend. So that's what we did. So, Canada, today is holiday in Canada, actually. It's a civic holiday. We're still having fun.
Nice.
Yes, that's why your voice has been going dry all day. Because
that's right.
Raji, let's hear you before you go off again. Raji, please, let's hear your voice. Tell us what do we expect this week? Will there be protests? Will people back up and stay home, go to their jobs?
Yes. Okay. No, I just wanted to point out that the City of London.
You see, because London doesn't want to talk about them.
I just wanted to point out that the City of London is the financial capital of the world.
Okay.
It's an enclave. So that's where a lot of people. Sorry.
Oh dear.
Lagos is calm. Lagos is calm.
By the way.
Yes.
Okay. By the way. Do you know that when Oni of Ife came to Canada, that he actually gave me a shifter title?
Yeah.
Me with a shifter title, yes.
And is it for Canada? Is it for Canada or for Nigeria?
Femi, are you hearing that? Femi, you've not gotten your own shifter title. George is getting his first before you guys.
That's good.
I
always tell people that the Yoruba are welcoming of everybody.
Let me give you the name. I'm Chief Amunodun of Ogidiland. That was the chieftaincy title that I was with.
No, we didn't hear that. Chief Amunu.
It has to be Ogidiland.
Amunodun of Ogidiland.
Amuludun. That's
Amuludun, yeah.
Somebody that brings forth.
Amuludun, yes.
That's right.
So you are the man.
Very nice.
Is that why you have that beard? Is that why you got that Father Christmas beard?
That's part of my legacy. so I wanted to let you and Reggie know, Chief. So when you're addressing me, you have to have that royalty type of respect for me, please, because I'm Chief.
That's why you're Sir George Chukwu. Okay. With the English way. So that's why you're Sir George.
Sir Chief.
Nice. The only lady in the house.
I hope you're learning Yoruba. Are you learning Yoruba too? Chief George, are you learning Yoruba?
It's for Gidiland.
Yes,
for Gidiland. It's not for
Gidiland.
But you're representing.
That's right.
The only lady in the house. What do you have to say before we go?
I just want to say something quickly about the protests up north-ish. I just want to say that I'm actually quite happy that it's actually university break time, because a lot of children, my daughter actually goes to university in Liverpool, and my thoughts have been, if these kids were all at school with what's going on at the moment, it would be quite a scary time for all of them. So I'm just grateful that that's the situation at the moment, and I just hope that everything will be quelled soon. And I just hope really that all this chaos that's going on in the whole world, actually, I just hope that it will all come to a positive end very soon. It's yeah, it's not, it doesn't have any kind of feel good factor attached to it. So yes, that's all really. And I hope everybody has a good week.
Yeah, that's the mother side of Fiona. You know, mothers are always caring and, you know, thinking
very sad.
Thank you.
Very sad that it seems as if the world.
Go ahead, Raji.
It seems as if the world is more interested in chaos than in peace now. The world is more interested in chaos than in peace. I just read that the Israelis are preparing the bunkers against invasion from, instead of spending billions to settle the place, they are prepared for chaos.
Oh dear.
As well.
Anyway, viewers, we all pray that the
unfortunate.
chaos reduces. We don't want any more of this. We really don't want like
Kamala Harris, you know, I'm up with what's happening in America, and Kamala Harris is going to be naming her vice presidential candidate tomorrow at the very latest. So I'm looking forward to see who that is. And I'm just thinking that we've had bad news from America in terms of the unemployment figures were higher than expected. The stock exchanges crashing all over the place. We're anticipating to have maybe fall in the interest rates because they need to G up their economy. With a bad economy, that doesn't bode well for Democrats to win. And so I'm looking at the whole thing and I'm saying what's happening. And I think the wars in Ukraine and Israel, and Palestine, they're not helpful for America. And we need less wars so that we can focus on development. So yeah, I'm with everybody. Let's have more peace and love than all this hate and killing.
Thank you all. Listen, everybody have
message. Nigeria, one Nigeria, one Nigeria, one Nigeria. Let us look in the same direction together, never looking at each other. We are one. Diversity is our strength.
God bless you, George. God bless you, Femi. God bless you, Mama in the house, Fiona, and Simi. Thank you all for coming. Raji, man that tells it as it is. Thank you all.
My God, you have to find a northerner to join us on this show. We need to find a northerner to join us.
No, we have one. There's a young man with us, Aliu. Aliu is with us.
He needs to come on the show.
Running up. Yeah, Aliu is joining us soon. You'll see Aliu. All right,
guys.
Everybody. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Simi,
have a good evening.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.